Hello, everybody. My name is Alane Freund, and I am here as a part of the International Consultants on High Sensitivity. We are a group of professionals working with high sensitivity and trained by Elaine Aron, the author of The Highly Sensitive Person. We have a commitment in our group of consultants to base our work on the science that backs up our trait. So while we are here as consultants, we are not here as medical professionals and not giving medical advice. If you're having any symptoms or any worries about the coronavirus or any other health issue, it is absolutely important that you seek advice and support from your medical professionals. And now I'm going to toss the ball over to Barbara to introduce herself.
Hello, I'm Barbara Alane, and I've been working with highly sensitive people for about 20 years, consciously anyway. You can find out more information about me on growingunlimited.co.uk. Basically, I'm here today to talk a little bit with my colleagues about anxiety, a little bit about panic, and also other things that might be of interest to people around that topic and high sensitivity, how we respond as highly sensitive people.
Thank you. Elsa Marie?
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Elsa Marie Brunner and I am Swedish mother tongue, but I live in Switzerland. So I have two web pages, one in Swedish, hsperson.se, and one in French, hsperson.fr. And I made my discovery 9 years ago, and I'm not a coach or a psychologist or whatever. I give speeches and I try to inform the public about sensitivity. So I'm happy to be here with you.
Hi, my name is Lian Kirksæther and I'm from Norway. I have been working with highly sensitive people more than 10 years and I enjoy it. And I work especially with women because I feel that's very important for me to help them and give them the strength and the help they need in both this situation and the time we are living in. I work international, online and on telephone, and I also head the Norwegian organization Hoysensitiv Norge. And if you want to reach out for me, it's liank.no. And I look forward to be here in this discussion about this time and HSP.
That's a great website, Lian. So again, I'm Alane Freund. I am a psychotherapist in California in the United States, although when I'm talking to people internationally, which I do a lot, even outside of state lines in America, I am not functioning as a therapist, but rather as a coach and a consultant. You can reach all of us on the Elaine Aron and High Sensitivity Facebook page. And also my websites are my name, alanefriend.com, and my new favorite project, areyouhighlysensitive.com, where we do live Q&A. So I'm so honored to be here and I look forward to this discussion.
So where do we begin then? I think anxiety is something, from my perspective, I don't know about the rest of you, but I think it's something that all highly sensitive people are familiar with. And often we've had childhoods and teenage years where anxiety has been in the background, maybe a little bit more than for most people. And at the moment, I've noticed that certainly on the Facebook page and in communications with clients, a lot of people are finding their anxiety levels have risen slightly. So I think it's actually quite useful to all get together like this and talk about anxiety, how it shows itself, what people are wanting support with, and maybe giving a perspective that might help with managing those experiences that people are having at the moment?
When it comes to me, before I made my discovery, I took anxiety pills for 11 years. I didn't know. So I had panic attacks and anxiety issues. And since I made my discovery, I've been working so a lot with myself and everything that I don't have anxiety. I don't feel anxiety anymore. And that is also maybe thanks to Alane, who usually says, look at the big picture, see the big picture. You know, that I'm just one of 7 billion people walking around here, and it doesn't really matter. But I mean, I respect if I know what it is to feel anxious and to have anxiety. So, but I can't.
And I agree with you about what Alane said about look at the big picture, because a lot of us, when we got frightened, angry, we got so stiff in our body, and then we forgot to see the big picture. That's very important. Just to see that we are a small thing of it. Or I sometimes got a problem with language, but I hope you understand. And if you start to also always have the mind that it will be better, if you think about the time that's just now. Yes, that's me.
It's great to hear from you all. I deal with anxiety myself in my own life, and almost all of my clients at one time or another are struggling with it. I even have a teenage client who says that all kinds of meditation make her more anxious. And, you know, it's hard to have a finely tuned nervous system and a more reactive brain and then be living through societal trauma, which is basically what's happening right now. And I love, Barbara, I think you referred to our childhoods, and, you know, as highly sensitive people, we're more susceptible to our environment. And, you know, that's both a strength and a liability, I think. You know, I'm noticing everything. I've seen a lot of people talking about how your empathy is making you feel, you know, just so stressed about the world. Thank you for bringing up the big picture idea, because it's so important. But one of the things that I've been noticing, or that I know in my professional work, is that anxiety is a continuum. You know, there's that beginning when you just feel just a little worried, maybe a little stressed out. And then it might ramp up a little bit if you aren't able to intervene. Or sometimes for me, I don't even notice it until it moves up the, I have a great graphic of it as a thermometer. Maybe I should put that on the Elaine Aaron Facebook group. And it's as it builds that it can kind of switch over into panic. That's at the very, very top. And panic is completely out of control, out of your own control. And I was just writing a response to someone on the Facebook group last night about how I think those more severe anxiety attacks and panic attacks, they're sort of like our children, for those who are raising children or who have raised highly sensitive children. Once the meltdown is happening, there's not a whole lot you can do for a highly sensitive child except to write it out and try to make them as comfortable as possible. Well, I like to think of my brain as another child, and sometimes I can't always control her. And on those occasions when she gets out of control, I just have to write it out. But the number one intervention for me is to prevent it. So I'm wondering if we could maybe morph our conversation a little bit into specific ideas of how to prevent going up the anxiety thermometer. Does that sound like a good idea?
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea, because I think that's what people want is they want a little bit about the how. Once you actually become that distressed, how do you take charge of it? And one of the things I think it's important to understand is something that, you know, this applies to all of the population, but of course highly sensitive people are going to be more reactive at the moment. So and that is that, you know, there's a switch in your brain that's controlled by your blood gases. And I don't think a lot of people realize this. It surprises me that there's so many people to whom this is news. But, you know, when your body is acting like it's in danger, which is what panic attacks and high anxiety is, it starts to behave as if you want to run away or hide or freeze, or, you know, and the body will then prepare to run away. And there's a switch in your brain that actually decides if you are in danger or not. And one of the things that will help it decide that you're in danger is if you're breathing more fast because you're feeling a little bit nervous, what will happen is the oxygen levels in your blood will start to go up initially. And this switch in your brain will take that as a signal to be prepared to do something. And often what happens is we sit there with our panic. We don't run, we don't hide, we don't go out and beat somebody up. We kind of sit there feeling very uncomfortable. And the oxygen levels in our blood rise and rise, and it keeps the switch on. And so one of the ways that you can start to take charge, and I'm not just talking about panic attacks, this is the earlier stages that you can use this for, is to start introducing carbon dioxide into your bloodstream. And there are different ways of doing that. One of them is using breathing, and I'm sure everybody's going, yawn, always hearing so much about breathing, but actually the way that we breathe can actually flip the switch for us physically and in a short amount of time. So for instance, we can take in very long, slow breaths and then breathe out even more than we've breathed in. And at the very end of the out breath, we can then almost collapse your lungs as if you were squeezing and squashing a pack of chips or something like that, right at the very end, so that you're completely emptying your lungs of anything that's there. And then do the same again and repeat it 2 or 3 times. And a lot of people report that they then start to feel sort of a tingling sensation in the back of their neck there, and that's the muscles starting to change. The chemistry is changing and the muscles are starting to let go. So what happens is you're actually changing. Sorry, go on.
You're not saying just do that once, but a few times.
No, you would do that, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, and then you would begin to feel the difference. And some people can do this change by holding, if you get a fairly large paper bag and put it over your face, then you'll start to re-breathe the carbon dioxide that's in your lungs, and it will get back into your blood. And it's surprising how quickly that can work. Now, dealing with the longer term things, the things that led you to start to worry and that created that feeling of panic or nervousness in your body, that is something that you can attend to later on by addressing your thoughts. And I'm sure someone here will talk about how to do that. But the first thing that you need to do is to take control of your own body. That is the thing that will help you the most in the shortest amount of time. And then after that, you need to look back and see how you got to that place and why your body started to respond, because your body's your friend. If you're in danger, it will take you to safety. That's what all the switch in your brain is for, so that your muscles are ready and full of oxygen. But sitting there continuing to worry is not actually going with your body at all. So that's one of the things that you can do. I'll hand over to someone else to sort of suggest anything that they might be trying.
I'm more mental. I mean, breathing is fantastic. And if you make some kind of gesture, like putting your hands together and in your lap or something, it becomes a mechanism for calming down. And I suppose in the long run, meditation, etc., it could be very good. But I also think seeing the big picture and also learning as much as possible about our trait, because that helps us to understand why we have such a reaction and why I have a startled response and what's happening now, and and this overwhelming, and you just think, well, I'm overwhelmed, and I better take a step back or something, But of course, when you're in a panic attack, there's not much one can do, except doing some gesture or something that reminds you, yeah, I can calm down now. But I think breathing is very important.
Yeah.
And I also think that anxiety in general, I don't know, it's my impression it diminishes with age, because you kind of look at life a little bit different. And then, for example, in relation to this virus, I asked myself, there's no point of worrying or feeling anxious about something I cannot control. And I can't control this. All I can control is myself. So I take my measures, and here in this country, we're supposed to stay at home as much as possible, etc. So I do that.
And if it's possible, I think walk and be out in the nature, alone or together with some friends, family that is doing something good for you, just to be together with them. And animals, if you enjoy to be together with animals, it's very good for you. And I think also it's a lot in the news now, and that's for our HSP people. We take it in. So do not watch more than you really feel for doing. And when you are overwhelmed, you also get more insight, and you got more stressed and so on. So it's more difficult. So if you can be outside, reading, as you said, and just try to calm down and be together with people you enjoy to be together with.
I love that.
Stop reading the news, stop listening to the news. I mean, I really do that. I'm categorical. I get news from my husband, and that's well enough.
It's plenty, right?
Yeah.
I think Elaine, in my conversation with Elaine on April 3rd, Elaine Aaron, she suggested, why don't we all write a chapter, write about your experience as a highly sensitive person during this pandemic. And Elaine, she's a big thinker. What a great book that would be. But I wanted to just take that to the tool of writing about our experiences. I find that writing helps take it from the inside and put it on the outside, sort of like having a conversation with someone. And some people are stuck in their homes alone right now, or they're stuck in their homes with their family that aren't usually here all the time. And I've been hearing from HSPs, I can't get any, quiet in my head. There's nowhere to work. There's nowhere to think. So I hope that people will write about their experiences and share them with other HSPs. And I was thinking, we're going to hopefully post this discussion in a couple of places on the Elaine Aaron Facebook group and maybe on YouTube. Both are great places to make comments, right? Now, because this video is for highly sensitive people, I want to ask that everyone who comments from a positive framework. And that's something that we can do with our minds to help with the anxiety too, is to reframe, take every situation, and if it's a negative thing that you're thinking or feeling, what is the opposite? And how is there some way that the opposite is true? It's a tool that we use in the equine assisted therapy. And just to, if the horse is walking away from you, what is the horse walking toward? And you can take that to any part of your life. If your family is too noisy, what else is true? They're home with you and safe, for example. So I really want to ask people to make lots of comments wherever you happen to see this discussion of your favorite tools, of what works for you to help minimize your anxiety, and keep those comments in a really positive light, because I think we have a massive community. If at least 20% of the world, now they're thinking it might be even a little bit more, is highly sensitive, and the population is ever growing, we're pushing up to 1.6 billion highly sensitive people in the world. There's a lot of resources out there, a lot of great advice. Let's have that community in a way that we can safely right now. I just want to give a couple of my other little tips. There's other great breathing techniques that you can look up on YouTube. One is the bellows breath, and another one is alternate nostril breathing. And both of them do what Barbara was describing. And they're both ways to change how you're using your breath to change your body chemistry. And I loved all that. Thank you so much, Barbara. For me, a way that I change my body chemistry is by exercise. And it's absolutely critical to me to discharge some of that, that whole fight or flight thing. I really like to think about anxiety that way. I love that. And, so what are we doing? If we're stressed out, it's our brain telling our body that it needs to do something about the stressor, that the woolly mammoth is coming and we need to run or gather our weapons or move the giant boulder across the front of the cave, whatever it is. And we're sitting in our chair or on our couch or at our desk, not moving. And it all gets trapped in there, just like you were saying. And so, one of the things that I've learned that helps me the most in exercising, whatever I do, is that I really tense my muscles really, really hard. Like we could do that right now. If you just tense your fist, your arms, you squeeze your arms into your side, you squeeze your belly, you squeeze your rear end, you squeeze your quads, and you squeeze everything in your legs, and then you release it. Just that changes your body chemistry. But doing it and holding it for 5 or 10 seconds 5 times is helpful. Now, when I am pushing to the higher ranges of anxiety, maybe even into panic, can I remember to do that? No, I'm just spinning at that point. So this is something that I need to do when I just notice the slightest stress coming on, to help keep myself at the bottom of that thermometer and not moving into the highest thing. Now, I know that we've gone on and on and on. How about if we just go around and spend maybe 1 minute making closing comments? Because we can always do this again, and I hope we'll do it a lot, because I think we have a lot of need in our community.
Yes, I think that as sensitive people, we are perfect for looking at the bigger picture. And there's always a bigger picture than what's happening to you right there, right now. And we have spent all of us probably spent quite a part of our lives trying to be the same as everyone else, and looking at goals and things which actually don't match who we are. And I think that we can look at the bigger picture and say, if I'm a highly sensitive person, what is my bigger picture goal as I face this dilemma that I'm in? Do I stay the same as I was? Or do I rise to the challenge and make changes in how I view myself, what's going on around me? We may have lived a life where we're in the habit of feeling like life happens to us instead of being in charge of our lives. Perhaps we've had expectations thrust upon us. But it's the time now that we have this space. It's not to get into running around like headless chickens. It's actually to rise above that and really tap in to the depth of the wisdom that highly sensitive people carry on behalf of others. This is your chance to do what you are created to do, in a way, the way that you're designed to, what your trait makes you able to do. So think about ways that you can use your trait wisely during this time of distress, and think of it as a learning, how you can learn to be more sensitive in a more authentic and empowered way.
I think some advice is, as we said already, is to look at the positive sides of all this. I must admit that before this happened, I was sometimes angry and depressed because I felt that the values were wrong and people were egoistical or egos. And now I think many values change and people adapt and they find other ways to socialize, and there is also lots of sympathy, and people help each other, and outside there are no planes, so this is really helping the environment. Let's hope that it stays that way. But there are many, many, many positive things, and I think that helps because that's a fact. It's negative, of course, it's difficult for the economy and all this, but it's also a renaissance in a way. And I think it came at the right moment. So
Yes. I think it's the people understand more to take care of each other, to see other people and not just themselves. And maybe other people also start to think a bit more like HSP people, see more others. But I think it's very important in this to think that you are good enough as just as you are, with your speciality or the kind you are. And it's also very important to do what is best for you. Also in this situation here, in what we are in now, and always think that it will be better. The time is very hard for many now, but it will be better.
Yeah.
You guys are so inspiring. Thank you. I want to say that, you know, when I work with families, one of my sweet spots is working with parents and children and teens. And I always say, you know, what's good for the highly sensitive child is good for all children. And you were alluding to this, the rest of you, that we really know, you know, Elaine Aaron told me that she felt like HSPs would do better during this pandemic than the rest of the population, because we know what we need. You know how to take care of yourselves. My parents are HSPs. They've been holed up in Oklahoma for 3 weeks, long before the governor said anything. And you know what's right. You know what you need to do. And really, although it's hard, I think it's so fabulous that we have the gifts. And, you know, I think for me, one of the hardest things, like I said, is being home with my family who's always home now. And although it's a blessing, it's a challenge. But in terms of the virus and the pandemic and contagion, you know, I guess another really hard thing is seeing on the news that other people are not doing what we know needs to be done. But Elsa Maria is right. We must not watch that stuff. So I say HSPs, highly sensitive people, that, you know, the only negative aspect of being highly sensitive is that overstimulation, which looks like and can lead to anxiety. So as long as we really work on our optimal level of arousal, we just really work on bringing our systems into what is their happiest, most easy place, we will be fine. Absolutely. And so I wish, and I know we all do, wish everyone out there well. And we'll sign off for now, but we'll be back. We look forward to your comments. Bye.
Bye.
Bye for now.
Bye.